let's start by talking about the basic introduction. We have to understand that there are three elements. So we have to say that machining operations elements, we have three elements. Number one is the workpiece. Number two, we are talking about the cutting tool. And number three is the machine tool. So if you have a little aluminum piece, let's say something like this, and let's say you want to reduce the thickness of this piece from, let's say, half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, let's say, right? So that means we need to remove some metal from there. So we call this piece the workpiece, right? And then we have here the cutting tool, which let's assume it will take this shape. So I will take some depth of cut here, and I will use the tool at this depth of cut to go like that, and while it's moving in this direction, it will remove this extra thickness. So this is the workpiece, this is the tool, and the mechanical structure that link these two, and let's make it like, looks like an electric circuit here, which is like that, let's say, is the machine tool. So it's obvious that the machine tool will do basically two main functions. The first is to maintain specific relative position. So it needs to hold the tool in a certain way, it needs to hold the workpiece in a certain way, and make certain relative position between the tool and the workpiece. Then the second function of the machine tool is to provide a relative motion. So we have relative motion. So the relative position you can express in something like the depth of cut, for example. The relative motion you can express in something like the cutting speed, the feed rate. All of these is something that represents the relative motion between the tool and the workpiece. So that's represent basically the three main elements in any machining operation. Right now, if we talk further, we can say that the cutting tools that you use to remove some of the volume from the workpiece, we generally can divide them into two main categories. We can say we have single point cutting tool, and we have multi-point cutting tool. Example for the single point cutting tool, what you see in the external turning when you use the lathe, you use basically one single point cutting tool. Multi-point cutting tool example for this is what we use in the milling, for example. Find a tool that has many cutting points or multi-points. And another example is the grinding. That's very obvious. that's the grinding, which uses abrasives. Each of them by itself is like a cutting point, so that consider is a multi-point cutting tool. Okay, so that was a very quick introduction about the machining operations. We will talk more in the future about the geometry and the materials of the cutting tools. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk very soon. Thank you.